I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom.
Welcome back to Retirement Wealth Planning with Dave Mortash. I'm Michelle Wright. Let me give you our phone number. It's 877-GAINS-4U. That's 877, the word GAINS, the number 4, the letter U, and the website is mortashfinancial.com. That's M as in Mandy, ORTACH financial.com. And we are continuing our conversation with national best-selling author Patrick Kelly. And again, in case you missed it, if you call and set an appointment with Dave, you'll get a complimentary copy of Patrick's best-selling book, Stress-Free Retirement. And Dave, I know there's some more questions you want to pose to Patrick.
Absolutely. Patrick, this is an easy one. You've been all across the country with your 3 best-selling books. And by the way, I'm requesting a copy of the new one. I'll be the first one to request that, by the way. How are these fixed indexed annuities doing across the country since you travel all over the country?
You know, this is an interesting answer because but I hope the listeners out there sense the honesty in this and just the transparency. First of all, they've done very, very well. But here's what's interesting. So have the markets since 2008. Now, if you asked that question in 2008 and 2009, I'm going to point your readers, your listeners my readers, to chapter 2 of my book, where the title of that chapter is A Ho-Hum 17%. Where it talks about a lady who, when the markets were really soaring in 2007, she came in for a review, and this particular annuity had this is very unusual, very unusual. I just want to say that, so we get that. But her particular annuity had a 17% gain in that particular year. And you know what? She wasn't excited. And the advisor could not figure out how in the world, this is a fixed product that's safe. How can you not be excited? She goes, well, the market, I'm 70 years old. You're not going to get me to do any cartwheels. So the markets did 24%. I did 17%. I think that's good. But Dave, here's where it went really right for her. The next year, in 2008, when she came in, 2009, it might have even been early, she had a 0% return, and this advisor was really nervous. He thought, oh man, if she wasn't excited about 17%, what in the world is she going to think about 0%? And as he was waiting for her to walk in, he saw her coming across the parking lot, and he saw a plate of brownies in her hand. And she walked in and gave him a great big hug, a true story, and looked up, had tears in her eyes, and she said, I won't say the advisor's name, I am so glad to have known you this last year because all of my friends lost so much money in the markets and I didn't lose a penny. Thank you. I'm so glad I listened to my friend who said I should come see you. Now, what I'm saying in answer, all that long answer to your question is this. The annuities have done quite well, but the markets have done quite well. And in an up year, these products are not trying to duplicate exactly the market. It may be that, and this is important for your folks that have these in place, they may look at this and go, man, the market did 10 and I did 7 or 14 and I did 8, whatever it is. It's still opportunity to grow in the up years, but here's what happens. Where they really come into play, it's like having insurance. You don't know how good your car insurance is until you get in an accident. And then all of a sudden you say, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I had that. So they've done well. They've kept pace. They've provided wonderful gains for individuals during these last 6 years of them, but so have the markets. But when the market turns, that's when folks are going to be baking brownies for you, giving you hugs and saying, I am so glad that you asked me to come in and meet with you. I'm so glad that I listened to you because all of those gains that I had, I still have. I didn't lose a penny. Nothing went back into someone else's hands. I kept it all.
Patrick, you know what? Again, it's fun talking to you because I got more compliments from my clients in 2009 for a 0 than I've ever gotten when somebody got 14 or 12 or whatever percent gain. Yep. The amount of people that called me saying exactly what you said was, you know what? We've seen sharing in the gains like Dave talks about all the time. But we got 0. Is that correct, Dave? And I'd say, well, yeah, I told you can't lose money. And they'd explode on the other end of the phone. They'd be so, crazy. Dave, are you sure? Everybody we know has lost 40 or 50%. We didn't lose anything. So I got more compliments back then than I've ever gotten in my life. And that goes right along with the chapter that you wrote.
Hey, before we go on, it reminds me of a commercial I saw years ago by a company that showed the postman walking to an individual's door, delivering their retirement, statement, their statement. And what's funny is that, I don't know if you saw this commercial, but the guy saw it and he just took off running, and he was hopping fences and being chased by dogs because he couldn't stand to open that envelope because he didn't want to see how terrible the results were. And people did. It got so bad, Dave, and you know this, that people were afraid to look at really how bad it was. They put their head in the sand. They pulled an old ostrich trick. But here's the good thing. You know what the worst case scenario is with our strategies. It's zero no matter what the markets do. And that brings so much comfort. And I don't think people really understand the significance and the power of these strategies until we face a really bad year. And then they you couldn't pay them enough to be telling the story because they're so excited about what's happened in their lives.
Absolutely. My quote to my clients is that 0 is a beautiful number. So here's a question I still get from time to time, Patrick. Like you said, there's some old annuities that were not so good. So I'd like to put this to rest. If I die, the insurance company keeps all of my money, right?
And then a little extra. No, just kidding. Kidding.
Yeah, and then they borrow some more. Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, folks, you got to understand. And again, misnomer in the marketplace, just trying to add a little humor there. No, the money, even the way you phrase that question, Dave, you said that the insurance company keeps my money. No, because it's your money. That if you die and you have your money in an annuity, there's a couple significant features. Often, depending on the type of annuity and the features, not only will they get all of your money that is left in there, they often will get some additional amount due to some death benefit provisions that can be on a particular annuity. But worst case, they're going to get what's there, just like any other account. And here's the beautiful thing. Because it's an insurance contract with a named beneficiary, it doesn't have to go through the long, arduous, slow, expensive process called probate. They will get those funds within days or weeks, not months or years.
Thank you, Patrick. That's what I've been telling people for a long time. So, Michelle, I think you've got a great question here, too.
I do. And, Patrick, I wanted to ask you this because Dave talks about annuities that give bonuses. Now, why can these insurance companies give me a bonus when I get my annuity?
Really, it's pretty simple, and it's not unlike what folks would see in other industries like banking. Really, if you look at buying a 5-year CD versus a 1-year CD, the interest rate is higher, right? Well, the interest rate that's higher is sort of a bonus, if you will. They're paying you more because they get to have the privilege of your money for longer. They can put it to use and make more money with your money for a longer period of time. Now, what these insurance companies have done with these annuities is they have front-loaded that additional interest rate and made it all up front in many cases. You might see 5 or 8% bonuses. So instead of giving you 0.5% a year for 10 years, because really these are long-term, that would be the one thing I would say. And I know, Dave, you tell your clients, this is not for short-term money. This is not for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year money. This is for retirement money that people don't need for some period of time. So if the insurance company has the assurance that they're going to have that money for longer, they can afford to pay a little more. And it just so happens they give it to you all up front, which is really sort of cool because, someone puts in $100,000, they see that they have, $105,000 or $108,000 the day they put it in. That's pretty significant. And they can't go below that 105 or 108 or whatever the number happens to be. Now, if they take their money out early, they're going to lose some of that bonus just because if you took your money out early of a CD, you're going to lose some of that interest rate in those later years. So it really is the same thing, but just crafted and styled a little differently.
Yep, that's a perfect explanation, Patrick. That's exactly what I go over with my clients. It's really just a time factor. So if I had drums by me, but I probably would blow that, but if I had drums by me, I'm going to ask you the final question that I've got to hear 10 times a week, and I want to put this to rest for the rest of my life. It's my career dream. Patrick, are these fixed indexed annuities too good to be true?
Too good to be true. I didn't even know the question, but I could finish it with you because I get the same thing. People over and over and over. And I would say this, Dave, I think this radio show has done a lot in our conversation, hopefully to dispel some of those myths of why they might seem too good to be true. The simple answer is no, they're not too good to be true. They're real, they're factual, they're mathematically sound. I spend how many pages in Stress-Free Retirement? 130 pages, giving them all the facts, figures, data, what they're for, what they're not for, but in a fun story style language that shows why they're not too good to be true. The answer simply is they are true, they are real, and the only way they won't serve their purpose, the only way, is if people don't participate. I mean, it's really that good. Again, I'll say it. I said it earlier in the show. I challenge any one of your listeners to look at what you're talking about with a fixed index annuity, compare it against any other strategy possible they can find that provides both, well, none provide both safety and potential for gain like this, but some will have safety and some will have gain. But compare them against every other alternative and do their own homework, their own research, their own thinking, and I bet you there is not a single one out of 100 that would come back and say, this other place here provides more opportunity for safety and gain than what you're talking about. Because I'll tell you what, in all of my study, all of my research, all of my speaking, all of my writing, all of my traveling, I have never found something that does a better job of putting safety and gain together in the same package.
Yeah, Patrick, that's exactly what I tell my clients. Again, they're not too good to be true. These things are out here. I always tell people, thank you. You just told me why I have a radio show and why I give out Patrick's book, so that these things really, really are real. They're out here and they work phenomenally well.
And again, remember, dial 877-GAINS for you. That's 877, the word GAINS, the number 4, the letter U, and set up an appointment to sit down with Dave. And when you do, you'll receive a complimentary copy of Patrick's book, Stress-Free Retirement. So make sure you go ahead and call and set that appointment up. 877, the word GAINS, the number 4, and the letter U.